As I plug in each of these voltage channels, you'll notice on the scope that the channels are automatically recognized. I've moved the channels away from each other so you can see all four as I plug them in, but as soon as you plug it in, it recognizes what probe is connected, and then it self-adjusts. It's an auto scale for voltage level. Hey guys, ScannerDanner here with my son Caleb behind the camera as usual. Today we're really excited to bring you the new PicoScope. It is the 4425A. I myself have been a Pico user since 2002, and of course I'm gonna get the new PicoScope. So let's go through the box, see what's in it. All right, so to be clear on what kit this is the 4425A Advanced Kit. There is a lot of stuff in here. This is all the equipment that's in there. All of these test leads, we'll start with that, came in a separate package, and we put them in this pouch. That's what this pouch was for. And I'll probably end up keeping this outside of the case because there's just so much stuff in here. But these are pretty nice test leads. I have similar stuff with AES Wave. I have an AES Wave breakout test leads that are similar to this. But these are pretty neat in the way that they're designed, you know, split between male and female. So you unplug a connector and then you have both ends that you can jumper right in and then take a measurement. That would be preferable to, say, piercing a wire, you know, especially when it comes to airbag systems, right, Caleb? Holy shit.
Pull that clip in, future Caleb.
So if Caleb just showed you guys that clip of an airbag blowing up, to be transparent with everyone, this happened because we had the module unbolted and we ran a jumper to the module so we could communicate with it, and we rotated the module with the key on. The simple rotation is what blew these airbags, so maybe you guys will see that in a video someday, maybe, or you just enjoy it here. The next up, just your test leads. Your red and black test lead adapters. You have alligator clips, you have back probing tools, different size alligator clips. There's really a ton of connectors in there. That's a lot. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Same with the black. Some hooks that we can hook the scope on under the hood. I've definitely been missing that with the scopes that I've had in the past. Then we have our back probing pins. Love those. We have some fuse adapters. These are awesome, where you plug in the fuse, remove the fuse from the fuse box, install it on the side, and you can put your amp clamp around there and take a voltage measurement at the same time. Let's come over here for a second. We have two injector breakout leads, a USB 3.0 and a USB 2.0. And the reason that Pico included this was there is a maximum length that the 3.0 cable can be used for. Once you go beyond a certain length, it diminishes the speed of the cable and the processing. So Pico recommends that you use the 3.0 cable whenever possible. But if you needed the scope to be further away from your computer, they included a 2.0 port as well. For most of your testing, you'd be fine with a 2.0 USB lead, but there would be some advantages to the 3.0, and I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but that's why we have two USB connections. Over here inside the case, we have the replacements for the attenuator. So the older kits have a 10-to-1 and 20-to-1 attenuators that would step the voltage down. Maximum input voltage for this scope, I believe, is 200 volts DC. And if you're looking at, say, an ignition coil that has 400 volt spikes, you don't want to send that into the scope. And so then you're using these basically 10-to-1 step down resistive leads that take the place of the attenuator. These are a little bit unique in how they work. You actually take the end of that, you can use that as your positive lead, or you can put an adapter on it. In the kit, these adapters were sitting below the scope itself, under the body of the scope, but this goes on the end here, and then you can connect any of your adapters you'd wish, whether it be an alligator clip or maybe a back probing tool, or actually another test lead you could attach to that. And then the ground for this cable actually clips on the side, and so this would be your ground lead. And the same thing, so you connect your ground connection, whatever tool you want to adapt to that. But I asked my friend who works for Pico on what the purpose was of this and why they went away from the attenuators themselves. And what he told me is these are resistive leads that are necessary when monitoring FlexRay systems. I've not done that yet. I've never measured a FlexRay communication network, but he told me that if you used one of your standard voltage leads on a FlexRay system and the Pico, it would pull the entire network down. It would crash the network. And so this lead is going to be used not just for step down reduction for voltage levels, it's also going to be used as a resistive lead to prevent the network from crashing when connecting to FlexRay. There are 2 of those in this kit. We have over here to my right a temperature probe. I don't do a lot of temperature probe stuff. My preference is an infrared gun or a thermal imaging camera. But what I was told, again, by my friend is a lot of guys that are doing hybrid work and electric vehicle work really require a temperature probe for some of the stuff that they're doing. So Pico's included a temperature probe in the kit. What's unique to this scope, and this will be the first time that you guys are seeing something like this, these BNC adapters that are on here, you can see that there is a printed circuit board right next to them. And pretty neat stuff. Whenever you first connect the scope, these used to be color coordinated, but now they're lights. There's LED lights that light up on each channel when we first connect the scope and start the program. And that's pretty cool. So they call these smart leads. Okay, smart leads? They're smart. They're leads that are smart. And not only are they smart, so they're intelligent leads. So if you look at the BNC adapter, so I've just grabbed one of my voltage leads. If you look at the end of it, it has those same 6 pins on the connector of the lead itself. And so not only does it recognize the tool, so when I connect whatever I'm connecting, it recognizes the probe I'm using, but it also self-powers the probes too. So for example, the amp clamps in the past have needed 9-volt batteries to make them run. Now they're being operated directly off of the scope itself. Now, one of the questions I had when I first learned about this is, well, what if I wanted to use some of my old adapters? Can I still use that on this scope? The answer is yes. And so the probe that I'm showing you right here is my 30 amp max Pico probe, the TA189, and it has a typical BNC adapter. This will still work. The only difference will be that this probe will not be self-recognized by the scope. I still need to turn it on, and I would still need to self-zero it, and I also would have to set up the channel manually to tell my scope what probe I'm using. So any of your old equipment will still function with this scope. Now let's show you a little bit more of this tool recognition. As I plug in each of these voltage channels, you'll notice on the scope that the channels are automatically recognized. I've moved the channels away from each other so you can see all 4 as I plug them in, but as soon as you plug it in, it recognizes what probe is connected, and then it self-adjusts. It's an auto scale for voltage level. And so that's why you see a lot of hashing on the signal initially, is because it dropped it down to like 50 millivolts or something, because there's no voltage input. So it really adjusts the scales for you automatically too right away. The next one I want to show you guys is the amp clamp, the high amp clamp. And watch what it does. When I plug this into the tool, it will again recognize the probe itself. And one of the things that I wasn't sure of when I first plugged this in is, if you look at the little box to the left, it actually says what probe I'm using. I wasn't sure. I could see right away that it recognized amperage and that it was an amp clamp, but one of the things that I had questioned is, is it able to tell the difference between the high amp probe and the low amp probe? And it does. Right away in that box, you can see that it shows what probe we're using. So going from the high amp one then to the low amp. And now what I want to show you guys as far as the amp clamp goes is there's no on-off switch. There's no button to zero, which is actually phenomenal. I can't tell you how many times, and Caleb knows, we've been filming and then we end up going to the car to use an amp clamp. Remember, one was a fuel pump job and it was the last test we needed to do. Thankfully, my brother had an amp clamp we could use because the battery was dead. And that's happened so many times. It's so frustrating. No more dead batteries, guys. No more on-off switch. Unplug it, you're done, right? One of the questions I had though is, how do we zero the probe? Well, here's a quick demo that I have the amp probe connected, and I'm using the flashlight magnet. So that's what you're looking at in this picture is a flashlight magnet, and I'm showing you that, yes, in fact, there's a magnet there. It sticks to the wrench. And then what I'm doing is I'm adding a magnetic field near the tip of the amp probe, right? Which is interference, just simulating magnetic interference. And then I'm showing that it's as simple as a couple clicks on the screen and you have the ability to zero that probe and get rid of that magnetic interference. Then you'll notice as I pull the magnet away, the zero line is now negative, and then I can zero that again to get back to a zero level. So all your zeroing now is done on the scope. Next up, let's do the capacitive pickup probe. What I'm doing with this one is I'm just going to connect it using my 09 Silverado coil on plug system or coil near plug system, so I can use these capacitive pickups on plug wires. And if I have an ignition coil that I can't get a good signal on, let's take a look at this coil on plug adapter too. You can see that I'm connecting that over the same coil on my truck, simulating a coil on plug system. Great looking pattern, but there are some that you can't get a good signal no matter what you do with these. And so what Pico has done is they've included these coil on plug adapters. So what you would do is you'd unplug the coil that you can't get a good signal on. You'd plug this onto the plug wire. You'd plug your coil onto this. And then what you can do is you can take your adapter and go around the plug wire that you just installed on the car. And if it's the type of coil that still needs to be grounded, because some coils do on the housing, like that Saab one we did where we ran those plug wires. We had this real Mickey Mouse setup on this Saab, and I was super worried about spiking my scope. Do you remember? Because we had some high energy coils. That Saab, I mean, I would not want to get shocked by that one. And so that Saab was one, it needed to be grounded on the housing. And so we had it kind of wedged on the block, and I had it sitting there so it was grounded. I think I even ran a jumper wire to it. Well, Pico thought about that. They added, I mean, I know this is no big deal. It's an eyelet, two eyelets, a jumper wire, and a bolt. But the idea with this is you can ground this now to the block and hard bolt it to the coil, and so you don't have a poor ground connection for your coil that you just unbolted and adapted to so you can get a signal. Two more. This one is the ohm meter lead, which is pretty cool. A lot of guys would think, well, why do you need an ohm meter lead for a Pico? And I don't know. I think for us in filming that it's awesome to be able to have a resistance measurement on the screen and to be able to show you guys. So filming dictates a lot what we do. You have the ability now with a resistance lead or an ohm meter lead for the Pico. And again, plug the tool in, self-identifies, and then we have the ability to say look at a CAN network. And so I'm just showing real quick, touching the probes together, the line drops to 0, and then this is me adapting to the CAN network itself on my truck, and we can see clearly that we have 60 ohms on the CAN network. So I don't know, I think that would be beneficial to have a graphed resistance number, especially for intermittent CAN faults where you're maybe wiggling connectors and wires and you're worried about something rubbing on the frame and you're trying to recreate that fault. Having a nice line on the screen. I have always liked to be able to graph resistance in scenarios like that. And then the last one, this is a parking sensor. So you hold it over the sensor and you look at the frequency on the screen and it tells you that those sensors are alive. So that's pretty cool that Pico included the parking sensor as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed that unboxing. I look forward to showing you this scope in action on cars in the future. So look for that on both channels, both my premium channel and on YouTube. We'll be showcasing this scope. If you're interested in purchasing one, you can purchase it at picoauto.com and also from my friends at aeswave.com. Thank you guys. We'll see you soon.